why it is that wrong is actually the new right. So today I'm going to share with you the reason why it's good to be wrong, and to actually try to look for where we're wrong in life so that we can learn and grow, so that we can accept other people's perspectives and viewpoints, so that we can adapt, compromise, come together to co-create and live in harmony with one another. So welcome. Welcome to the Spiritual Awakening and Ascension platform. Welcome to the library of all things that you could ever desire the information or connection to. If you're new to the channel, or if you've been with us from the very beginning, welcome. Infinite blessings, love and light, and all that beautiful stuff, as well as the counteracting reverse side to it, as there is always two sides to every situation, two sides to every coin, the yin and the yang, the light and the dark. And I'm going to explain the reason why being wrong is beneficial, incorporating into it shadow work, and how that unless we go about allowing for the acceptance of a feeling of being wrong within ourselves somewhere, that part of us will always be denied and repressed. By allowing it its voice, by allowing it an expression of feeling victimized or repressed in some way, shape or form, knowing that, again, everything is created. Everything, first of all, is a thought, which then becomes an action. Everything you can view outside of yourself was first comprehended and created within a mind, within the consciousness of humanity and the universe itself. So my truth is that I am the universe experiencing itself. I am the entire universe, the good, the bad and the ugly in completion. And by accepting everything, the good, the bad and the ugly outside of myself, came through the acceptance of it within. If we're in denial of something about ourselves, then we will be constantly showing it outside of ourselves so that we can notice it. Almost like somebody coming up and continuously poking and prodding you, going, here I am, here I am, here I am. Unless you acknowledge me as being part of you, I will continuously go about defying and actually affecting your happiness in life. Everything. So those of you that are familiar with the concept as above, so below, as within, so without, will be able to understand and embody this truth more effortlessly than those of you that are new to the expression. So allow me to explain momentarily what this means before we go on to the shadow work aspect of it, and the reason that if somebody is in front of you projecting some information towards you, that it is beneficial to accept their perspective and point of view, even if it goes against your own, especially if it goes against your own. It's only ever your ego that has a desire for things to be any particular way. It's only ever your ego that feels threatened or tries to then go about ridiculing or oppressing somebody else's perspective and point of view if it does not understand it itself. It is the cause of all isms. And I did a video recently, or I recorded it actually last year, but it was shared recently, about my previous perspective of racism. And the fact that I was once what I would classify, not to label anything and limit to that label, but to understand we label things. If you label somebody as racist, then they are in your eyes racist. You have limited their perspective of ability to produce any information giving to you other than the fact that they're racist. Everything they do will be based around that. And my truth is that within the label construct, I was previously what I would classify as racist because of the way that I was brought up, the way that I was raised, the information that I had at my disposal. Knowing everything we do to the best of our ability with the information we have at our disposal. And we do everything that we do in order to keep ourselves safe, try to gain a form of happiness, potentially even love. Okay? So, as above, so below, as within, so without. What is above us is the same as what is below us. What is inside us is the same as what is outside us. Simplistically put, everything is energy vibrating at different frequencies. Everything is made of the same base material, atoms. Energy vibrating at different frequencies. And the building blocks which create these atoms. And you could break it down into even more of an infinite, finite size compared to what we are currently aware of. And you could also expand it to infinite. If you take it from the smallest to the largest scale, everything we do is life. So you could say that I am my unique separate self in this body. You could break it down, and each cell in your body is unique and separate, each playing its own role within the co-creation and preservation of your body, just as we are all playing our role in the co-creation, preservation and evolution of humanity. As every planet plays its role, as every element in existence, as every universe plays its role in a larger orchestra that is as large as we can possibly comprehend, knowing that if we have the ability to perceive it, to create it as potential, then what is potential is able to be materialized. That when you exit a room in your house, it no longer exists in your physical representation of the world. It exists as a potential. You know the room's still there, so it exists within your mind. And when you enter into it again, you perceive the energy in that room, vibrating at the frequencies that it is through your lenses of perception, to then dictate that, okay, I'm in this room, and this is what I'm familiar with. Every time we enter into a new state of being that we are unfamiliar with, it opens up our potential to experience more and more things. As above, so below, as within, so without. Everything is the same piece of information. Everything, the entire universe, started from a finite point, a singularity, exploded into existence in order to separate itself, to experience separation. In truth, it is still that same single point, that singularity. And we are on a journey towards unity within the self and within the collective. This is why shadow work is so important, because it takes all those parts that we otherwise classify as being wrong, and we bring them back in with full acceptance, knowing that they're right as well as being wrong, that nothing is right or wrong other than within our perception of it. There is no good or bad. It's just a situation. It's just an experience. It's only the ego which classifies it as good or bad, left or right, red or blue, etc., etc. View reality as information on a screen. View reality as a program, as a play, as a game. Okay? Whatever you vibrate at, you attract to you. On the TV, whatever channel you tune it into, it picks up the frequency from the airways around it and broadcasts that picture on the screen. You then view it and you believe it to be whatever you believe it to be, reality in that moment. If you change the channel, if you change the frequency, then the actual picture changes accordingly. If we tune ourselves into anger, frustration, repression, victimhood, then that is what we will see. If there is part of us internally which requires attention, then it will continuously vibrate at that requirement of attention, broadcasting and attracting to you from around you, from the universe, people to represent that which you are, that which requires your attention. Before we get too deeply into shadow work again, let me finish off the as above, so below. There's one screen of information and you hold the remote control. It is your game, your play, your story, and you're the main character in it. You cast yourself accordingly. You are always the creator and you are creating the game whilst playing it. If you cast yourself as a victim, then you will play the victim role, and then you will create characters to come in to oppress you and victimize you so that you can fulfill the role that you have cast yourself. If you play the creator, then you are the creator. Either way, this is who you are. You're creating it all. Whilst playing it, you're co-creating it. So if there's two people that come together and they can uplift and build upon each other, fully expressing and sharing everything like myself and my girlfriend do, we have evolved within ourselves more so than I believed possible through the continual release of information. If something comes up which feels frustrating, anytime there's any form of resistance or conflict, it's expressed. It's laid on the table so that we can look at it through two different perspectives. And the more perspectives we have, the wider potential to discover a more easy route towards the answer, let's say. So the more we share with people, the more that we're able to see that actually it doesn't matter in the first place. It never did, and it never will. Only the ego's desire to control or to label or to classify is what then brings any form of restriction or frustration, once again, any form of suffering. When you become angry, it's you that is angry. It's you that's experiencing the anger. You become angry at somebody else, they don't know, it doesn't really affect them. It's you that's then sat there frustrated and angered. With the screen that you create, that single screen that you hold the remote control to, when you look from within that screen to the external world, you view the picture on the screen as the external world. You tune into love, where you go, it will all be love. When you tune into frustration, everywhere you go, there will be continual frustration, reasons to be frustrated, people that will frustrate you, situations to frustrate you. When you have no desire to attach any outcome, when you don't mind something, when there's no attachment for it to be any particular way, you can go through situations and experiences not minding. If you plan something and you plan it to the exact detail and those exact details don't come to pass, most likely the experience will be negative within your egoic perception of it. If you go into a situation without any desire for anything to be other than whatever comes up, most probably it will be an enjoyable experience because you haven't tried to label it or have it exist only in a specific way. If you sat down for a meal and you pre-planned every mouthful you were going to flavour, savour, ingest, every mouthful, with each flavour, this mouthful wants to be so much sweet, so much savoury, it needs a certain amount of acidity, a certain beautiful undertone of warmth, etc., etc. If you did this with every single situation in life, having to control it all is going to cause you a lot of upset. If you release attachment for things to be any other way than they are, then we're free, truly free. Then we have the ability to just change the channel because we can. Oh, that there's something being viewed that is negative or that is less than beneficial. But remembering that there's no real negatives, only ups and downs, only heavy and uplifting frequencies. There is light and dark. If it was always light, it'd be meaningless. There'd be nothing to actually enjoy in it because there would be nothing to classify it. There would just be light, a void of nothing. It's the dark and the light which actually bring balance and compromise, harmony to each other. So as you view the screen from inside, looking outside at the world, the external world views it from outside, looking in to you, believing that you are what is being represented on the screen. So again, if you have tuned in that screen, yourself, the universe around you, to love, then people that approach you, that people that view you, will see love on that screen. They'll go, oh, that's a nice image. And that love that they see in you is the same love and reflection of themselves. So again, anybody that is in a form of anger, let's say somebody you know is always angry. If you have any attachment or anything within yourself which that mimics or represents, every time you see them, there will be a desire to either make them happy or to stop them being angry. There'll be a desire to change them in some way, shape or form. Looking at them, seeing anger, basically is a potential to then be able to have it reflected and viewed back in yourself. If there's any form of snagging, then you know that this is part of your own programming as well. If you feel as though you are wrong or that there is something wrong, then this is beneficial, this is good. Picture it like a pipe with water running through it. If there's anything protruding from the inside of the pipe, then it will actually hinder the flow of that water. Things will become snagged on it, stuck on it, limiting the flow, limiting the freedom, limiting the acceptance and release. There's something there which has caught you, triggered you, whatever it is. So it's the knowledge that any time we feel wrong, actually this is right. And that to feel right in itself is wrong, because it's just a full acceptance and surrenderance that is the truth to it all. That in truth there is nothing at all. It's all just being experienced by the mind, for the mind, in the mind. Everything, the past, doesn't really exist. It's a memory that you have within your mind, a memory that you run accordingly, dependent on the situations. 99.999% of the past no longer has any attachment, doesn't exist within your perception. Yet those small few snags and triggers which do still exist as a negative exist because they are within you. The reason that they trigger or upset you is either, again, because you want to change it or control something about it. There is something in yourself that you do not like, that is less than fully acceptant of it all. A full acceptance of all that is, was, or ever shall be. That is what will truly set you free. So how do we go about allowing for the screen to play whatever it wishes to play? We install a baseline frequency of love. Love being the foundation everything else is built from. Love being the truth to it all. Anytime there's a question, whatever the question is, the answer is love. Okay? And we do this by really venturing into the internal world, going into the darkness and shining our light within it. Knowing that if there's an area that is separated, something negative happens in the past. We take it, we close it down, put it in the dark, and we throw it to the very back, the very depths of the mind, the consciousness, the awareness. In the darkness, it will defy us from the darkness. If we venture into the darkness and we shine a light upon it, it becomes a shadow aspect. It casts a shadow. If we hold that long enough, that love, that light in our heart, eventually we will melt away all forms of separation, and that part of us can be fully integrated once again, because it's not a negative part. Just as in truth there are no real negative people, there are programs and behaviours which are passed down generation after generation, infused into the very fabric of reality, infused into your DNA, into your blood, in a way which goes about controlling us without our awareness of it. Again, if we accept we're wrong, if somebody says to you, you're wrong, and you can go, okay, perfect, thank you for telling me I'm wrong. So that will allow me to look at the reason why you believe myself to be wrong, because in truth there must be part of me which believes I'm wrong. If you're like, no, I'm not wrong, you're wrong, fuck you, then you've caused a ego defense mechanism to run, or they've caused it, and then it will go into lockdown mode, preservation mode. Somebody's attacking me, I need to close down and defend myself. If you can accept everything that is presented to you, everything which takes place around you, then you are free from it. You are free from suffering, therefore suffering no longer exists. The truth is, and this is the really powerful deep truth, not as deep as the truth that none of it even exists or matters anyway, but the truth within our ability to actually experience it within this earthly realm is that if we all bead bead, if we were all to be complete in our acceptance of ourself, each playing our role as part of the collective, not trying to be any other way than we are, not trying to be anybody else, just existing in harmony with the collective as our unique aspect of the self, just as those bees do, serving the divine feminine. My brothers, this is our role, to provide space, safety, structure, likened to a river, the masculine being the channel which allows safety and structure for the feminine to flow and to create within, creating the direction that we are flowing together, simultaneous to actually experiencing it. Without the channel, the water just disperses over a large area and doesn't end up doing much. Has fun in the process, but not much is completed or achieved. It is the masculine channel which provides the feminine the structure to create within. That's all in other videos. So again, if you are new to the channel, make sure that you actually go about discovering the depth of information found within it, as well as heading over to the links below and joining us within the portal, the Ascension family. Become official ambassador of the light. Beautiful. So, picture yourself as a beacon of light and everybody else around you as other lights. If somebody comes along and shines their light upon you, their light of attention, or if you shine your light of attention upon somebody else, knowing that they represent a mirror of yourself, and then it shines back and there's any form of anything that snags, anything which actually makes you think or attach to, then there's something within yourself that requires acceptance and surrenderance, a full release of it. If somebody comes along and shines a light at you and it just shines through you, because there is no attachment to that which they're shining. Anytime anything upsets, frustrates, angers, anything which is heavy, is because it exists within you. And they're shining their light upon you and you're going, or your ego's going, no, that part of me I don't like, or it was traumatic, that experience, so I'm trying to keep it hidden, to keep the mind, to keep the body, to keep the aspect that I believe myself to be safe. So the egoic human construct of me, my Kain, knowing that I am Kain in this life, and then without the ego, without the acceptance of the egoic self, without the existence of the egoic self, there is no sense of self. Without this body and the ego that exists in harmony and alongside it to protect it, if I wasn't aware that I was separate and had the desire to sustain my separate form, to continue my life, then there would be nothing to experience, because again I would just be out there as energy vibrating. It's being able to experience separation which allows us to then experience and to learn and to grow through all of those separate interactions with the separate self, knowing that that's me, that I'm you. And if there's anything about me you don't like, then again question yourself as to why. Know yourself not to be right, to be wrong. So instead of saying they're wrong, I'm right, which is what the mighty ego will do, accept that they are another part of you with different information to you, and that they're right. And perhaps you can accept that you're wrong, not to actually undermine or ridicule yourself, but to accept that there is another way. Okay, you're right, I'm wrong. How can I now go about aligning with your truth or accepting your truth in completion, so that the feeling of being wrong in myself then subsides and just dissipates back into the universe? Okay, so I live freely and will not be governed or controlled through fear. You're quite clearly controlled through fear. You watch all the media-based news, you follow all the rules, even though you then still express they don't make sense. Okay, that kind of frustrates me. Okay, why? Because I want everyone to be free. Why? Because I'm here to bring freedom and liberation to everyone. Why? Because I've chosen to do so. Why? Because I can. Why? Because I am. Why? because I can, because I am. And then none of it matters once again. I am because I can. I'm here to experience my life, and you're here to experience yours. Anytime, any way, any shape or form that you want somebody to change, it's because there's part of you that you're trying to deny that you wish to change within yourself. We are more egoically attached to loved ones, to our family, to our friends. Being a parent and watching a child go about almost undermining themselves, creating areas of frustration, repression, playing the victim. It can cause upset and frustration because, again, we're more egoically attached to it. And I literally want to just say, my son, wake up, remember who you are. But that's coming from my egoic desire to control, my desire for him to be any other way than he is, and my remembrance of me being a child, playing a very similar character, and wanting that character, that childhood version of myself, not to have to experience all that pain and suffering, to end up taking the path that he did, that I did, to then bring me to where I am. And then it's the remembrance that I'm actually in the perfect place. So every step I've taken up to this point has brought me to where I am. And I love who I am, and I accept every aspect of my journey up to this point. So therefore, we can then step back of the desire to control anybody else and say, okay, this is part of your journey. Just because I've experienced it the hard way and I would like to present you the information to take the easier route, it's not for me to control. It's just for me to be able to hold space to present information. If you wish to experience whatever you wish to experience, that is your free will. If you are here to experience continual suffering, then that is your choice. And you've chosen this before you come. It's not as though you've been born and you thought, what am I going to do today? Let's suffer. Let's just suffer as much as we can. Again, a lot of these are passed down genealogically. So the only way to actually go about escaping them or transcending them is to do the inner work required, inner shadow work, inner child integration, parts integration. Again, knowing that once we come back into unity, once all of these different people and their different expressions and their different perspectives of the same thing, me, you, the universe, God, it's all the same. Once we all accept each other's perspectives completely, knowing that if you were God and you had all the heads, and each person is a different head, God looks through every single pair of eyes and accepts whatever is seen fully and completely, because he has no attachment to any particular one. They're all him, her, thy. Because my egoic perspective of me is separate to me, my ego wants my view to be right. Anytime there's an indication that it's not, or that it doesn't understand something, again, self-preservation, protection, ready to fight. When we accept that everybody is me, is I, every single interaction is part of the same. Everything is beneficial. If somebody wishes to play victim, then that's perfect, because they're allowing for the experience to take place. Your choice is yours. You can play whatever role, whatever character you wish to play. And it is wrong of you to try to take away somebody else's freedom of choice by controlling who they want to be or who they choose to be. Knowing that the more we can experience a diversity of interactions, the more enriched we become. And it's almost as though every single branch will stretch out to as broad a perspective as possible. And then once we've experienced everything in potential, there'll be no longer any form of requirement to experience anything at all. Every time you feel as though you're wrong, please stop, physically stop what you're doing. Step back, separate your egoic attachment and your feeling of not being good enough or being classified as wrong as in superior, as stupid, whatever it is that comes up as that trigger within yourself. There is an attachment to a time and a place in the past that no longer exists, and that only exists in your mind, and that you have fabricated or recreated over and over again to actually fit your narrative. If you have a program that is deeply installed that you are a victim, that nothing is ever your choice, that you always have to do, that you're always told that you're wrong, then anytime there's any slight indication of feeling of being wrong, you'll grab onto it and go, see, I knew it. I'm reconfirming my program. I'm reconfirming my program. I'm reconfirming my program. And the more that you reconfirm it, the more solidified it becomes, and the more that you view yourself to be that program, to be that perspective, to be that Godhead, that egoic self. True liberation comes through knowing that I am this body, this mind, and all the experiences that I can experience through it, just as I am you, your body, your mind. I just don't have inner access to that perspective, to that screen. I can see through this head with an awareness of it. Viewing myself through your eyes is taking place at a higher level of consciousness that is separate to this perspective, to this mind. When I enter into deeper trance-like meditations, when I connect to people I work with in the sessions energetically, I can see through their eyes, and I can also see the energetic pathway that has taken them from the creation of whatever program it is to where we are today. Being able to go back to that root cause and actually transcend it, accepting it and making it part of the entire path as opposed to a separate one. Knowing that you're born and you die, and there's a path that you walk, and every time there's any form of separation or fragmentation, we create all these different paths. And if somebody comes along and prods or pokes you in a certain way, then you act accordingly by stepping onto the designated path and walking in that direction, until the point where you realize that that's not really where you want to be going, and then you come back into alignment with your chosen path. By taking that separate path and bringing them all back into one, we have full awareness of the entire path and the direction it goes in. If again one becomes separate and we end up starting to walk down this path, when we're mindful enough, we can integrate ourselves back into the main direction, the main route. And then by integrating that part, the shadow part, by shining light upon it and then allowing it to realize that actually it stems from the same self and it has the same desires for the self. That every time there's a part of ourself, there's a part of you that wants you to be happy, and there's a part of you that wants to defy you. This exists within us all. There's light and there's dark within us all. The angel and the devil, they're not on your shoulder, they're within you. They're part of you, whispering to you. And anytime we can realize that the devil is actually just the angel in disguise, that they're all you, again, that's it. There's nothing else to be done. I see you and I love you. I see you and I love you. I see you and I love you. And you. And you 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 and you. Knowing that everybody outside us is a representation of what's within us. And only those that we actually notice or have any form of interaction with are relevant within our unique story. There's billions of people, but there'll only be so many situations which actually affect your experience, your game. Because again, there's certain characters that you will create, then draw to you so that you can mirror and bounce upon them to raise to the surface that which is required to be seen and to transcend it into something new. This is a lot of information. I'm very aware of this, and this is the way that I deliver. I always sit with intention to deliver it very, very short and snappy, because I'm aware that in the current global situation and the way things are going forward, everybody wants it straight away. We're in a generation where everything's instant and everything is throwaway. So you want an instant fix without really wanting to do the work. So again, the people that are like that, that's perfect. but they're not my people. They're not my representation of myself. The way I share is unique to me. And if you resonate with it, then great. I've assisted you in your journey as you have assisted me. If it doesn't resonate with you, great, because there is somebody out there that will. And it's up to you to seek out the information and to do the work. Here's the key to your happiness. Take it. It's you that will have to pick it up and to use it, to open that door and unlock yourself and everybody else free. Remembering that it is love that is always the answer. Self-acceptance, self-love. External acceptance, external love. This is it. The truth, the light, and the way. So again, check the link below. Come over to the portal, the Ascension family, and become an official ambassador of the light. There is thousands of like-minded souls all coming together in this beautiful, beautiful environment. Constant feed of chat, constant share of information, books that we've all read, videos that we've all stumbled across or that have been guided towards us, everything which is uplifting and expansive, inspiring, transformational, so that together we can continue to share information, knowing that the more information we have, the larger or broader the decision we can come to, the more beneficial the decision we can come to. If you only view life through a very narrow lens, then you're only ever going to see a very narrow picture. And it also makes you look a bit peculiar. But again, that's only because of an old perspective of reality. Look funny without a nose, but that's just because we're used to having noses. If you'd never seen anybody with a nose, and then you saw somebody with a nose, you'd think, whoa, what's that? What's that weird thing on their face? Again, this is all egoic. Accepting everybody just as a representation, knowing that anytime there's any form of judgment, any form of conflict, resistance, anger, frustration, repression, it's all in here, my friends. Thank the person for indicating to you that you're wrong, with an acceptance of being wrong, letting it go, free once again. Within the portal, there's access to all sorts of free content, from a anxiety freedom to a spiritual awakening to massive amounts of very, very powerful and deep, deep soul work. Divine feminine activation, liberation, divine unity-based work. Everything upon your spiritual journey you require is all found in the portal. The council, the family that have created the portal, have brought together as much information as we have at our disposal and placed it all in that one space. The more people that keep coming to that place, the more energy that we can build up within it, and the larger that light becomes, knowing that a single flashlight shone into the darkness will illuminate it slightly. But when we all come together and shine our attention upon that single vision, that creation of a world of true harmony for all going forwards, just imagine that. A single candle will illuminate even the darkest of rooms, and no amount of darkness added would extinguish its light. As you journey through your awakening and ascension process, you have ignited and sparked that light within yourself, and you will continue to venture through more and more heavy and repressive, darker elements of existence, of experience. A bit like a computer game. You complete level 1, and then you go on to level 2, which is even harder. And then after level 2, you go up another level to level 3, which is even harder. If you were to go back to level 1, it would be pointless. It's easy, unless you increase the difficulty level, which is again what some of us do life after life. We experience the same game, but we increase the difficulty levels within it. When we go about fully accepting everything as it comes up along the game, knowing that a boss is there to learn, to grow from, to overcome, to transcend, to level up with, allowing their representation to be actually beneficial. If the boss comes along and you try to press square square X and it kills you, you wouldn't think, oh, I'm wrong, that's bad. You think what I did was not the most beneficial way of doing it. Let's try pressing triangle, triangle, circle next time, whatever it is. Yeah? You take that information and you adapt, you evolve with it. It's only the ego that is stuck in its sense of self. No, this is who I am. These are the informational programs that I was given as a child. I view reality through my lenses. I am X, Y, and Z, and anybody that is not X, Y, and Z is wrong. Yeah, have fun with that. Again, crack on. I see you and accept you fully for your role of stagnation, for being who you are, where you are, without a desire to evolve or to grow any further. That's perfect. Really is. There was a time in the past when I used to want everybody on the same train because we can all do it together. It's so much easier. I need your help. Help me, help me. Victim, victim. I create it all, including the characters which want to do nothing, and accepting that they are just another aspect of myself because there's part of myself that doesn't want to do anything. If I deny it and repress it, tell it it's wrong, then it will become defiant in its nature. Again, separated path. If I accept it fully, allow it to exist doing nothing, if it wishes to do nothing, but it will continue to then just be part of that path. It may not energize the path at all, but at least it's not separated and trying to actually pull me away into a darker, shadowed area over there. So a single candle will illuminate even the darkest of rooms, and no amount of darkness added will further extinguish its light. And by illuminating or igniting another candle, it doesn't put out our own light. In fact, it adds further illumination to the room, knowing that we are dotted around the globe in very specific places, so that as I shine bright, I can guide those able to see me to the truth found within, and you doing the same where you are. And as we ignite each other around the globe, we create a web of light which connects up to itself around the entire globe until there is nowhere left in darkness. There is nowhere left for shadows to be cast. There's nowhere left for the illusion of separation to exist. Then all of those separate selves back into unity, gone. Nothingness once again. The truth for myself is I've been there, and I actually chose to come back. I chose to remain here, now, on this earthly plane, within this mad experience that we call life, simply because I can, once again. And I'm here just to remind you of this truth, that it all starts and ends with you, and that just a single breath breathed in with intention and exhaled with surrenderance. That's life. That's it. That's all that really exists. And any time we get back into that natural state of flow, it literally energizes myself, which it will do you as well, at such a rate that my whole body begins to vibrate. It's like I've filled up my vessel to the point of bursting, like shaking up a fizzy bottle and the pressure building. And then we can direct that energy, instead of blowing our lid, fizzing over everywhere, we can direct it with intent towards the creation of that which we wish to experience. Again, coming together to then be able to direct all of that energy to that single vision. So thank you, as always, for who you are and everything you do. I see you, I acknowledge you, I understand and respect you as I am just an aspect of you. love, light, and infinite blessings. Until next time, namaste. Boom. Go play, be free, laugh, dance, sing. Take off all your clothes, go roll around in the mud. Properly go out and experience what it is to be free from anybody else's perspective or requirements of you. Truly live freely, even if only for a weekend. And then, my friend, decide which version of reality you wish to experience and which character role that you will continue to play. I've done it. It's fucking hard, but I am a living example of being able to go from complete frustration and anger and fucking hatred beyond what was manageable to the point of death, surrenderance, full acceptance that that's it, I'm done. To be reborn, to be able to then choose the character that I am and that I play accordingly, knowing that not everybody is actually requiring me to be that liberation, that light, that love, that I play whatever character is required at any given time. If I attach to it and become affected by it, I know that it's part of me. If you come along and become angry and frustrated at me and I mirror it back to you, it's simply because you require it. If I attach to it and then think, how dare that person make me angry, then that's part of me. Perhaps it's a co-created one. Perhaps it's part of us both. Knowing that it is all part of everything, it's all part of us both, and in each droplet of water there will be slightly different information housed within it. And then when all that water comes back together, all that information is integrated, there is only one singularity, nothing to experience once again, as we have experienced it all separately and then co-createdly, connectedly, eternally. Beautiful. Truly, what a gift. I love you. Peace out. Thank you for who you are and all you continue to do. Thank you for continuing to gain the knowledge, the wisdom, for continuing to look within and doing the work required to bring freedom to not only yourself, but everybody else. As you continue to do the work, as you continue to expand your consciousness and awareness, you continue the expansion and awareness of everybody else, helping others to break free from that limitation and illusion of old. Continue to support me in all I do. Continue to grow the movement and continue to grow yourself.